The restaurant was packed for my sister Hannah's celebration party. Everywhere I looked, influencers were taking photos with their phones, capturing every moment of her rise to 1 million followers. Our parents' authentic Chinese dishes, which they had perfected over 30 years, were now just backgrounds for Instagram posts. It's amazing, right? Hannah said, adjusting her designer dress in front of yet another ring light. From a small family restaurant to this, Mom and Dad would be so proud. I Chen watched my younger sister celebrate her social media success while using our family's legacy, Golden Dragon, as a stepping stone. Once the heart of Boston's Chinatown, it was now just a backdrop for Hannah's curated life. You should be thanking me, she said, checking her reflection in her phone. I've made our restaurant famous. Look at all these influencers posting about it. I looked around. None of the guests were eating the food. They were too busy taking pictures, rearranging the dishes for better angles, and letting everything get cold in search of the perfect shot. The restaurant's account is empty, Hannah, I said quietly. The suppliers are threatening to cut us off. She waved it off. Details. Once my lifestyle brand launches, we'll make it all back and more. Trust me, nobody wants to eat in an old-fashioned Chinese restaurant anymore. They want experiences, content, something Instagram-worthy. What she meant was that she drained our parents' hard work to fund her transformation from a restaurant owner to a social media star. The traditional recipes, the loyal customers, the history, none of that mattered to her anymore. I've already signed a deal to renovate the whole place, she added, scrolling through her phone. We're going modern, minimalist, totally aesthetic. The traditional look is so last season. My phone buzzed. It was a message from Uncle Wei, our head chef, who was the only one besides me who knew what I had planned. The food critic is here. Everything ready? Yes, I texted back. Let the show begin. Hannah had no idea that her perfect celebration was about to take a turn. She thought she'd hidden her financial manipulation well, using her business knowledge to move money around until there was nothing left. But I had been tracking every transaction, every penny she'd stolen to fund her lifestyle. Speech. Someone called out, and Hannah practically glowed as she made her way to the front of the restaurant. The traditional red lanterns our parents had hung cast an ironic light on her Western appearance. Blonde highlights, cosmetic procedures, and designer clothes that cost more than a month's worth of restaurant revenue. A year ago, I decided to take our little family restaurant into the modern era, she began, her voice practiced and camera ready. Everyone told me I was crazy and should stick to serving traditional Chinese food like my parents did, but I knew we could be more. I watched from behind the bar as she spun our parents' immigrant success story into her own tale of social media triumph. Her followers didn't know that while she posted about elevating Asian cuisine and honoring our heritage, she was systematically destroying everything our parents had built. My phone buzzed again. It was from Jenny, my best friend and a financial expert. Documents ready. Just waiting for your signal. I thought back to how all this started. After our parents died in a car accident 2 years ago, Hannah and I inherited Golden Dragon together. I took over daily operations while she handled marketing and finances. At first, her social media posts brought in younger customers and helped the restaurant. But slowly, she started making changes, modernizing the menu to make it more Instagrammable, replacing traditional dishes with fusion creations that looked better in photos but lacked the soul of our parents' cooking. Then came the renovations. Our mother's decorations were replaced with generic artwork, and our father's carefully chosen wallpaper was covered with minimalist white paint. 6 months ago, the first signs of financial trouble appeared when suppliers called about late payments. Hannah assured me she was handling it, that we were just investing in growth. But around the same time, she began posting about her luxury vacations, designer shopping sprees, and celebrity meetups. I wanted to believe her. She was my sister after all. But then I found the transfer records showing how she had been draining the restaurant's accounts to fund her influencer lifestyle. Come up here. Let's show everyone the story behind Golden Dragon's transformation. Hannah called. I forced a smile and joined her at the front, playing my part in her celebration. The crowd of influencers raised their phones, recording everything. Perfect. Thanks to my amazing sister, Hannah said, squeezing my shoulders, for keeping things running while I built our brand. I know change is hard, but trust me, this is just the beginning. If only she knew how right she was. The food critic was finishing his meal, and I knew he would go live with his review in 10 minutes. Hannah was still talking, excitedly planning the restaurant's future. "We're going to be the most Instagram-worthy Asian fusion spot in Boston," she said. "I've lined up collaborations with big brands, influencer dinner parties, and sponsored content deals." Then her phone started buzzing. One notification after another. Her smile faded as she checked her screen. "What's this?" she whispered, looking shocked. I watched as she read the review from the food critic, the most respected one in Boston. The review tore apart every change she'd made to our parents' restaurant and revealed the truth about her authentic Asian cuisine journey. "This isn't just a bad review," she said, scrolling through the screen. "He's talking about the finances, the supplier problems." "How did he know?" "The same way he knew about the bounced checks," I said calmly, "and the maxed out business credit cards and the loans you took out in the restaurant's name to fund your influencer lifestyle." The crowd of influencers kept recording and their ring lights reflected off Hannah's panicked face. More notifications kept coming in. "What did you do?" she hissed, grabbing my arm. I smiled. I made sure the truth about Golden Dragon's transformation reached the right people. Her phone kept buzzing, and the comments, DMs, and news alerts flooded in. Her perfectly built image was falling apart in front of her, as her million followers watched. For the next hour, it was like watching her social media empire crumble. Hannah stood frozen in the middle of Golden Dragon, her phone still buzzing with notifications, each one breaking apart her curated image. "These numbers can't be right," she muttered, scrolling through the financial documents I'd made public. "How did they get access to the accounts?" she asked, frantic. "You mean the accounts you made to hide money from the restaurant?" I asked quietly. "Or the ones you used to fund your authentic Asian lifestyle?" The crowd of influencers was getting restless, still recording. This wasn't the content they expected for Hannah's celebration, but it was definitely getting more engagement than her usual posts. "Stop recording." Hannah snapped at them. "This is private." But it was too late. The live streams were already going viral. Viewers watched in real time as Boston's rising influencer faced the truth about her success. My phone buzzed again. It was Jenny. Financial investigation documents received by all major news outlets. Story breaking in 3, 2, 1. Right on cue, Hannah's phone lit up with a breaking news notification. Social media star accused of embezzling family restaurant funds to fund influencer lifestyle. "You planned this?" Hannah whispered, mascara starting to run down her face. Just then, Uncle Wei appeared at my side, holding a stack of papers. "The suppliers are here," he said in Mandarin. "They want to speak with the real owner." Hannah's eyes widened. "Real owner?" "Not anymore," I replied, taking the papers from Uncle Wei. "Not since you signed over your share of the restaurant to cover your personal debts." "I never signed anything," she said, shocked. "Oh, you did," I said. "Remember all those brand collaboration contracts you were so excited about last month? You should have read the fine print." The color drained from Hannah's face. Hannah remembered the stack of documents she had signed during one of her live streams. She had been too busy talking to her followers to actually read what she was signing. "That's not legal," she protested. "It's perfectly legal," Jenny replied, stepping forward with more documents. "Just like it's perfectly legal for us to submit evidence of financial fraud to the authorities." The restaurant grew silent as the influencers finally lowered their phones. They realized this wasn't just social media drama anymore. "But my followers." Hannah looked around, desperate. "They believe in me. They trust my content." "Do they?" I asked, pulling up her latest posts on the big screen, which we'd installed for her celebration. "Let's see what they're saying now." The comments were pouring in. "Can't believe she stole from her own family. All that honoring my heritage content was fake. Those designer hauls were bought with stolen money." Unfollowing immediately, Hannah's follower count began to drop rapidly, first by hundreds, then thousands. Her carefully crafted image was falling apart with every new revelation. The brand deals she had bragged about were already canceled. "No company wants to be associated with fraud," Jenny confirmed. The suppliers, who had trusted our family for years, stepped forward. Mr. Jing from the produce company and Mrs. Liu from the seafood market. They were people who had worked with our family for decades. "We trusted you," Mr. Jing said in Cantonese. "Your parents were honorable people, Hannah." Hannah, who had never bothered to learn our parents' language, looked at me for a translation. I just shook my head. Some things didn't need words to be understood. What happens now? She asked, her voice small. I gestured to Uncle Wei, who started bringing out dishes, the real dishes, our parents' recipes. The food that had made Golden Dragon famous long before social media. Now, I said, we go back to what this place was always meant to be. The aroma of authentic Chinese food filled the air, replacing the smell of Hannah's overpriced scented candles. Food critics and real restaurant reviewers, who I had invited, took their seats, ready to taste what Golden Dragon was really about. You can't just erase everything I built, Hannah protested weakly. No, I agreed. But we can rebuild what you destroyed. The question is, do you want to be part of that? Really part of it, not just using it for content. Hannah stared at me for a long moment, then glanced at her phone, which was buzzing with more lost followers, canceled deals, and exposed lies. I don't know how, she finally admitted. Start by learning, I said, handing her an apron. Start by remembering what Mom and Dad actually taught us, not what looks good on Instagram. The next few weeks were a time of real transformation, not the superficial kind Hannah had promoted. We removed the modern decor and brought back traditional elements that told our family's story. The authentic menu returned, though we kept a few fusion dishes that actually worked. Hannah struggled at first. Years of focusing on appearance over substance had left her unfamiliar with real work. But slowly she learned how to prep ingredients, greet customers sincerely, and find satisfaction in real, honest work. Her social media presence changed too. Gone were the staged photos and fake stories. Instead, she began sharing real moments from the kitchen, telling stories about our parents, and being honest about learning from her mistakes. Surprisingly, people responded. Her follower count never returned to 1 million, but those who stayed were genuinely interested in the real story of a family restaurant. One evening, as we were closing up, Uncle Wei brought out a bottle of Chinese rice wine that our father had saved for special occasions. Your parents would be proud, he said in Mandarin, pouring 3 small glasses. Hannah, who had been studying Mandarin in her spare time, carefully responded in broken Chinese, I hope so. I looked around the restaurant at the traditional decorations that told a story, at the kitchen where real food was made with care, and at my sister, who was finally learning what our heritage truly meant. They would be, I said, raising my glass. Because this isn't about followers, likes, or content. This is about family, about legacy, about remembering where we came from. Hannah nodded, understanding. To Golden Dragon, she said, her Chinese pronunciation still awkward but sincere. No, Uncle Wei smiled. To doing things right, because that's what really matters.